Yeah, so with Halo Infinite, I played the first mission, maybe two of the campaign, but mostly I've just been doing the
Yeah.
multiplayer. I've been having a blast with it, even though I will say it's very buggy and has a lot of crashes, but it's a lot of fun.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. But
I tell you what, I
but
wouldn't expect that because it came out last year, didn't it? So I mean, I don't know. I bought the game super recently, so I can't wait to like give it a proper play. I'm gonna go through the campaign first, and then I reckon I will try out the multiplayer. But I've been playing so much recently because I've been ill for like a week now.
ooh,
I've been playing so many video games, it's been ridiculous. But as well as that, I've also been watching a ridiculous amount of YouTube.
welcome back to the SpewnedIt Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the SpewnedIt Podcast. My name is Joel Brown. This is my really good friend, Jensen Anderson. Thank you so much for watching our video today. Today we're basically just talking about some old school YouTubers, right? Looking back, reminiscing on the good old days when YouTube seemed to be such a small, tiny place that you could get your hands around. And now it's just literally the universe. And everything that you do is on YouTube. It's pretty scary, but I want to take us on a little trip down memory lane, gents. Some of the names that we have known and have loved for so long. Now,
Of course, yeah.
thinking about this, it was actually quite hard to sort of like pick and choose the few that I personally had been watching like way back in the day. I had to kind of look at my subscribe list and think, okay, how recently have I watched some of these guys' videos? And one person that came to mind is Aussie Man Reviews. Now, this guy, like what it says on the tin, he's an Australian guy, and he basically just like reviews videos. And one of my favorite selections of stuff that he does is called the Destination F compilation. And so it's basically a bunch of like fail videos of people absolutely like eating the dirt or whatever it may be. And he says that, you know, they've got a first class ticket to Destination F, and it's just hilarious. And I remember watching these way back in the day and just absolutely losing it. And I feel like that was a nice thing that I used to be able to do. I don't do that anymore, of like there's maybe like one or two YouTubers that I actually kind of like keep up to date with. But apart from that, I feel like I don't do that anymore. Do you know what I mean? Not to the extent that I used to at all.
I think it's just like there's an overabundance of choice now. Not that
Right?
there weren't a lot of YouTubers before, but it definitely felt like back in the day, we're talking, I don't know, 2010s, early 2010s ish is kind of when we were like
Yeah.
more aware of YouTube and kind of involved in it and in a way. And we all had that dream of making it big and being a big YouTuber one day, but I think our you got an internet would not allow that. But it felt
No.
like you could kind of stay on top of at least the most prominent people that were kind of consistently on top of the subscribe list. People like
Yeah.
Ryan
Yeah, yeah,
Higa,
yeah.
people like the Smoshes, Ray William Johnsons of the world, and we watch those guys a fair amount, especially Ryan Higa. I think when you're talking about like some of the greatest ever YouTubers, I think he has to be on that list. Not only did he top the most subscribed list multiple times for various stints, but he just kept innovating and like building his craft and getting better and better and more complicated. And every once in a while, he'd bust out a video that's like, this 8-minute long stop motion, just crazy thing that clearly took them just hours and hours to create. And it just blew your mind. And then, next week he'd be back with just a quippy, commentary video with some great skits and writing. And I think he constantly was raising the bar, not only for himself, but like kind of for everybody else too, just in showing that, you don't have to sit in front of sit behind a webcam and make a simple compilation or whatever it is. You can do more, but you don't need the budget. I mean, that's the you in YouTube, right? Is you going out creating things, and it does feel a little bit different now, in my opinion.
Whoa.
But didn't mean to get deep there.
Powerful words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, please, I'm gonna start crying soon. No, but I think like you've definitely got a good point, and I think he could adjust so easily, and he was so the variety of videos he brought out were brilliant. And I think I mean, especially for here in the UK, I think Ryan, he was obviously a big name for me because of you. I mean, I think there's no doubt you introduced me to him. But a big name for me, and like someone who's actually made a bit of a buzz over here in the UK as well, less so as of recent because he's going off doing a different thing, is Joel Weller. And especially his series that was called Internet Melt. So funny. And yeah, like you said, it was... So, I mean, he made a whole variety of videos and then went off and, did this whole... He almost started off, if not did start off the whole, like, YouTube boxing thing. Like, that was his idea at the start. And so watching him process that and progress through that journey was huge. And, something that I think is, obviously a big part of what makes him and his sort of CV, if you will. But yeah, I like ages and ages ago, in Uganda, I can't even remember how I clocked on. I feel like someone had said to me, "Oh, what, you're English and you don't even know who Joe Weller is?" And I was like, "No, I'm sorry, man, I don't." And then I checked him out and I was like, "Oh wow, like yeah, this is actually a name that I need to know about." Yeah, and like you say, gents, like it was sort of the period of time when it was slightly easier to grasp what was going on in the world of YouTube because there was so much going on all the time. And I feel like there's been different periods of our lives and different games that we've been playing where even that has influenced like who we've watched and who we've been like really staying on top of with YouTube, which I think has been quite funny to sort of take in over the years.
I think something that just came to my mind is when you're talking about kind of grasping the YouTube landscape and kind of being able to feel it out a little more. Do you remember the YouTube rewinds? They stopped doing them like last year or something because everyone like started hating them. But I remember when they first started coming out, and I felt like I recognized the people that were in it because they would feature all their most prominent YouTubers at that time. And then a couple years in, I started knowing less and less names, and like people that I expected to be there wouldn't be there for one reason or another. And I think that was kind of indicative of like how big YouTube was getting and how just how broad the scope of all the creators that they feature and the ones that have been blowing up. And I mean, frankly, lost touch with like what YouTube thought was their biggest group of content creators. And, some stick around like the PewDiePies of the world and whatnot. But for the most part, it's just lost on me. And I had the people that I watched and some of them stopped posting. I haven't done stuff in a long time, but yeah, there's a whole new generation of channels that have blown up, and I couldn't even tell you the names of the ones that are most prominent these days. But one of them, looking back, that we certainly got a lot of enjoyment out of was Film Cow.
Oh man,
just a absolutely ridiculous sense of humor. I remember the very first time I ever saw Charlie the Unicorn. I think there was probably only one of them out. The finale for the whole series came out like 4 months ago or something. That's how long it's been around. I think this first one probably came out, didn't look it up ahead of time, but if I had to guess, I would say like 2006 or 7 maybe even. Like
I'd say
way
something like that.
Back in the day. But they would make these animations and some live action stuff too, but they're all just so ridiculous and silly and just out of like, you couldn't make it up. You literally couldn't make it up. And
yeah.
I think it's just one of those things that you have to like experience. And I don't know, I haven't like revisited a lot of those videos, at least not in a while, but I'd be kind of interested to do it just to see like how they hold up and whatnot. But it was a whole experience going on that channel and watching the Llamas with Hats, Charlie the Unicorn, Detective Heart of America. He made like 2 45-minute movies for this puppet of an eagle.
Flip.
Just crazy stuff, but super duper
I feel like they'd still be able to put a smile on your face. And actually, I can't remembered this, but like the Laser Collection and the ASDF movies. Every time I think of the Laser Collection, I'm like, oh my days. That's like, we used to love those and we used to quote them all the time because I mean they were brilliant. And then watching the like the growth of those movies. How many? I know there's like 7 or 8 ASDF movies. Are there how many Laser Collection movies are there?
There's like 4
6?
or 5. They kind of like
4 or 5.
Yeah, I think there was like a bunch of pressure, and they kept on like asking fans like, "Oh, do you want us to do like a story-based one or one more of the random sketches?" And I think then it kind of like got out of control, and I think he sort of abandoned the project. But that guy, Dominic Farah is his name. He like makes music now, and it's actually really sick. He's called Dom Farah.
I remember us
Spotify
chatting briefly about that. Yeah,
super duper.
Go check him out. He's pretty wicked.
Yeah.
Oh no, but yeah, every time I think of the Laser Collection, I'm like, oh man, what a great What a great period of time. I was such a huge fan of that because it was just pure enjoyment. It was just sheer enjoyment. And yeah, got to thank YouTube for the brilliant, platform that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome back to SpewnedIt News, bringing you hard-hitting reporting from across the globe. Tonight, how to fall prey to these common grocery scams, why wallets are trying to kill you, and right now, how to conquer your fear of winter with these 3 helpful tips. We have our on-field reporter, Joel Brown. He's very cold, as you can see in his camera. Joel, how's it going?
Hello, Jensen. Yeah, very, very good. But as I'm sure you can imagine, quite chilly and nippy here in the UK. But we're smiles on my face, and my flask is full of tea, so I cannot complain. How are you?
Quite well. Now, I have been told you have 3 helpful tips to how to conquer our fear of winter. Of course, many of us are very afraid of that white stuff that falls from the sky or slipping on some ice that we may find in the street. What do you have for the fearful population out there?
Yes, Jensen, I have got three useful and very simple tips of how to save your fear of the cold, because the cold is scary. It's a 4-letter word and it means many things, but we shall not focus on that today. Because the first tip I have, and frankly, as long as you stick by this tip, you're going to be fine every day of the year. And that is to drink a lot of hot tea. Just a good cup of tea. It's nice and warm in the flask, in the mug, whatever it may be. Drink a lot of it and you'll be fine. That's the first tip I've got for you this morning, Jensen.
First tip. Now, what about for our viewing audience that may not be from England and may not enjoy a cup of the old Jolly Roger?
Frankly, to those people, Jensen, I don't have very nice things to say. So we're going to move on to step number 2. Now, step number 2 involves a little bit of rhythmical movement, and in particular, something I like to call the stair jog. So, as of course, not many of us like to run around when it's chilly or when it's snowing, all I can suggest is that you take a seat, like I am doing right now, in your house or wherever it may be, and simply proceed to step up and down in a very extravagant fashion. And this way you will keep your body warm, keep up your step count, and stay in the same place and get warm. So what is not to like? And if you've got a hot cup of tea in hand, then you are good to go. Moving on to step number 3. And this, I suppose, is the best of the best. Because this involves, obviously, where social distancing may apply, when you greet your friend and you shake them by the hand, you get your other hand and you tap them on the back, and you continue to do it for quite a while to warm them up. I have found that this works a great deal. And if you know what they say, if you've got a warm back, then you won't go back to the cold because you've got a warm back.
I have certainly heard
and
that
is
phrase before.
I use it every day. Obviously, when it's cold. And that is the 3 top tips that I have for you, Jensen, of how to conquer your fear of the winter, especially if you're living in the UK. Thank you for listening. This is Joel Brown.
Before you sign off really quick, I do have one quick question here for some of us like myself who don't actually have friends that I would be greeting on a daily basis. What do you have an alternate solution perhaps for that third tip, which would normally require 2 people to employ?
Yes, I do. I do understand, Jensen. I'm sorry to hear that, but I've got an idea just for you. If you see a tree or a lamppost or something that is cylindrical and pointing towards the air, if you simply go up to that, put your back on it, and then just sort of rub up and down like a bear might, then that should work to a similar degree. I can't promise amazing results, but I can assure you that it will conquer some of the cold. Maybe not all of the cold, but some of the cold. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joel. That was, again, our 3 helpful tips to conquering your fear of winter. Drink some tea, hug a tree, and, of course, step up and down in place. Thank you very much to our on-field reporter, Joel Brown. Next up, how to fall prey to these common grocery scams.